and that's Hibiki Euphonium Season 1, which,
Oh.
if you look at the rest of my list, and you know me, might sound a little strange as to why I would be watching this show at all. And the reason is because I got it for the Discord Secret Santa, which has now passed, but anyone who is listening, make sure to do it again next year, which is now me forcing Caroline to do it again next year. Too bad.
Yay.
It's a lot of fun. But that was my gift. Why it was my gift, I could not tell you. It does not fit with my likes at all. It did not fit with the dislikes I put. I spoke with my Secret Santa, and I still don't understand why I got it, but that's okay. I I did sit down and watch it, all 13 episodes. It's dubbed, which was the one nice thing about it for me, because that was the gift part, because I watch most of my stuff dubbed. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I think it brings an interesting conversation over quality versus enjoyment. Because if I
Oh.
look at Sound Euphonium from a quality perspective, it is fantastic. Straight up amazing. It sounds good, it looks good, it moves good.
It's Kyoto Animation. What do you expect?
There are zero faults I can find with it from the production standpoint. I was incredibly bored. This is not a show for me. It's not, and I know what I like, I know what I don't, but that it was a worthwhile watch for almost like appreciating an art form, right? Like going to see the Mona Lisa kind of thing, where maybe you're like, yeah, I'm kind of bored. It's like it's this like thing that I don't necessarily care about. But now
It's
it's
the
like, okay,
Mona Lisa if she had legs. And you were like, I like legs.
legs that are tilted inward, and I
Yes.
couldn't stop.
The pigeon-toed legs.
Oh my god, it hurt my brain.
But think of all. Anyway, we don't need to get into the morphology of moe legs.
But it is if you like music, if you like slice of like life, if you like you know moe girl type shows, it's probably one of the best ones out there. And even as someone who really does not like those kind of shows and was mostly bored, I still found value in watching it. So it is still an easy recommendation.
Yeah.
Well, I it helps that it's KyoAni, right?
Right.
In the grand scheme of things. Um,
Let the
yeah.
record show that the first season of Hibike Euphonium was reviewed on episode 305, wherein
It's a
the
throwback.
wherein the hosts gave it a collective score of 3.5. I believe that was, let's see here, Chiaki, Mitsugi, and myself, I want to say. So, yeah.
And did Mitz give it the lowest score?
I think, actually, no, I think we all gave it a 3.5.
Oh.
So, or no, you know what? I think it was just Mitz and I. I'm sorry. Chiaki's the one that passed it, but she wasn't there to review, I believe.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair score. I mean, as someone who generally likes Sound Euphonium, and I would argue that season 3, which just wrapped up this year in 2024, not ignoring, we're not in 2025 yet. Okay, we're not there yet. I'd say season 3 was the best of the series and one of the best shows of 2024. Now, is it so much better than season 1 where I'm like, no, Raggedy, stick with it, man. It'll be like, I do think it gets the best. I mean, ignoring the Liz and the Bluebird kind of spin-off movie, season 3 is fantastic. But I think you're good. I think you're good. Like, if season 1 was not doing it for you, I think you're good. But I'm glad you gave it a chance, and I'm glad you at least appreciated some of what it was bringing to the table.
Oh yeah, I watched season 1. I've watched Liz and the Bluebird. I think I'm good.
Yeah. It's good though. Check it out, people. And that is on what platform can people watch that? Is that Crunchy?
Crunchyroll.
I feel like it's Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I watched it with Crunchyroll.
Excellent. So we got one moderate recommendation if you like that kind of stuff. Andrew, what are you watching?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of not anime.
Yeah.
For the time being, because I've been doing outside of what we're watching for the podcast.
Hashtag fake nerd.
Well, the problem is, right, all the shows I was going to watch, we're reviewing, so I'm waiting for that because if I'm too far removed, my analysis isn't going to be as strong.
That's fair.
And then some of the shows I'm just waiting for them to finish, like what was it? Shangri-La Frontier. I'm waiting until. Well, actually, I'll probably start watching it in like the next week or so because it's probably heading close to Endgame. Because it's a 2-course show, I don't want to start it and then kind of thing. And then there's some things that you want to start but are kind of like poorly animated, aka Blue Lock season 2. But so I have to like be in a mood to watch that particular show. But I did start some shows that we didn't pass from this current season that I was interested in watching, and I said I would watch regardless. And so I started watching more episodes after I finished the other show I'm going to talk about. I continued my watch of Sword Art Online, Gun Gale Online, season 2.
Can you read it
Squad
just as
Jam.
you have it typed up on the sheet?
SAO GGO
Sago. Salgo.
Oh, Salgos.
There we go. That's my kind of show.
Salgos. Now that we got past that almost kind of slightly, maybe potentially racist statement I just
didn't
said.
say anything.
No, I'm saying it about myself. Yeah, no, so I started watching it. So I just finished Squad Jam 3, I think it is, in this one.
Yeah, it's 3.
It basically, the Squad Jams are a lot of fun. This one was a lot of fun. They introduced a twist in it, which wasn't like a crazy twist, and then that twist has a twist, which is pretty silly. It's basically more Gun Gale Online, and a lot of fun of Gun Gale Online is just like the crazy moments that involve guns and people shooting themselves in this virtual world, and how seriously everyone takes it, because that's just what it is. And it didn't do anything new or innovative compared to like the first season. If you like the Squad Jam in season 1, the second Squad Jam, obviously, in season 1, then you'll definitely like this one. And then it kind of ends at episode 8, and I'm kind of like wondering, are we gonna just get slice of life for like the next? No, I know what's actually happening. They're going into like this take the mountain, take the castle type of game, apparently. So I'm curious to see how that one works out, but it feels weird.
I've also continued with SAO Gun Gale because, like I've said it before, any SAO that doesn't have Kirito in it is an SAO that's worth my time. So I'm at episode 10, I think I just finished. And yeah, they start like a new kind of game that's not another Squad Jam, which is nice to like mix it up a little bit. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's, you're gonna get the same mileage out of this as you got out of the first season. It's fun.
Yeah, essentially. So if you like season 1, you'll probably like season 2. And if you're like, basically, how you feel about season 1 is how you're probably going to feel about season 2. And honestly, I would say it's not that it's better or worse. It just feels like the only issue is that it took so long to get here. Yeah. Mason.
Yeah.
What have you been
have been watching quite a few shows. Now, a lot of these have been sequels, and they're so far deep into their runs that you don't need me to tell you about them. Like, I've been watching Natsume Yujincho season 7. Like, no one cares about that. That's 7 seasons in. No one cares. I finished up the off season of Monogatari. That's like a bajillion seasons in. Like, no one cares. No new listeners. Like, oh, should I pick up the new Natsume? You already know at this point. But one sequel series that I can't not talk about, because we brought it up last week for kind of how Netflix was doing stuff well most of the time, except in this case, is Beastars. And in our Hobby Addicts today, Raggedy talked about how the new Squid Game came out, but it's kind of, in essence, a part 1 of stuff. Like, it leaves on a cliffhanger. There's definitely more to come. It doesn't feel like a finale. Beastars dropped on Netflix in full, sort of, kind of, with the final season, part 1, which is, a nice, considerate, hey, you're not getting all of the final season right now, but you're getting a good chunk of it. But I didn't hear any, news about it, any kind of merchandise marketing going on, so I was kind of surprised. But as a big Beastars fan, I had to check it out, and I'm kind of on the fence about it. It is still good. It's still Studio Orange, which makes some of the best CG around. If you haven't checked out season 1 of Beastars, I think it's very innovative. It's very interesting. It tells a very unique story in a very unique environment where everyone
Kick-ass
in the
opening.
world is animals. Yeah, go ahead.
I just said kick-ass opening.
Oh yeah, kick-ass
Oh,
opening.
it's so good.
Still a kick-ass opening. Just I love Legoshi, the main character. He's a wolf who obviously eats other animals, except that's not really approved upon in this world. So he kind of has to make his own way. It deals with a lot of themes. There's a lot of metaphors going on. It's one of those kind of deep shows, but also very surface level and high school and juvenile and fun at the same time. The biggest problem with Beastars is that it just keeps on getting weirder, and I am always along for the ride because I just find the world so interesting, and there's so many little things they do that just bring a smile to my face, like a sloth who just has the words like nimble tattooed across him. Like I get a kick out of stuff like that. But Beastars is just going down the rabbit hole, pardon the pun if you will, of just pushing up against all these ideas that maybe aren't the best in terms of like how to write a cohesive story that has a great through line and great pulse, but nonetheless it's very watchable. The sub and the dub are both very well done, and I'm excited for part 2 of the final season to come out hopefully pretty soon in 2025. So still good, still a fun time, maybe not as like highly regarded as I might once of the series, but I still really enjoy it. So check out the final season if you have not yet and you liked the first couple seasons.
So I have a quick question here. Just like a quick side tangent. Do you think we would be more okay with it if these final seasons went to the Final Fantasy School of Naming, or the Kingdom Hearts School of Naming these seasons? It would be less bad, like if we got Beastars enter or like, I don't know. I don't actually have a good joke here. I'm just thinking.
Without like numbers attached to it, basically.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's like I'd be less annoyed if I didn't see the final season part 1. Like we get it, Attack on Titan did it, and they lied to us multiple times.
I think,
wouldn't it be fun to just say
switch
Beastars duodecim into 357 by 6 days? That would be a more fun title.
I think the final season inherently gives anything a lot of weight to it, and a lot of, this is buckle up. This is the final. And I think in a lot of the series where there's a lot of seasons, hearing that it's the final really, makes me more compelled to watch it because, I want to be there at the end kind of thing. If I knew it was Bleach season 3, but also there's going to be 7 seasons, like I'm not going to have that same drive to watch it. And I think calling something the final season, like Attack on Titan did, and then being like, actually it's just part 1. That feels like a bait and switch. That feels dirty. When you come out here and say, like, this is the first part of the final season, I think you're laying your cards out on the table, and I don't mind that. Now, you might be like, I like binging it, and you might want to wait till part 2 comes out, and that's very understandable. The cliffhanger ending of part 1 here is pretty good. Like, I'm at a good stopping point, but it definitely is like, I could use the next episode now. So I don't begrudge it. I get why it works, and I don't know. I'm not complaining.
You can't complain about R-rated Zootopia.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, please. There's this show always finds a way to make me very much consider, like, if someone walked in right now, like, there's no talking my way out of this. This is not a good look.
I can explain.
They're in a strip club. Yes, that's an animal stripping. What am I going to say? Like, hands where I can... No, there's no getting out of it. So be careful where you watch this. This is like, you need those like Apple glasses where no one else can see what you're getting up to. Because it's dangerous furry. It's dangerously furry.
When I started to watch the first season, I was watching at the gym, and like 2 episodes in, I'm like, I cannot do this at the gym. This needs to stay
just
at home.
propped up on the treadmill. You're like, nope, can't do that.
Oh yeah, no.
So Beastars remains the most dangerous of recommendations, but I think I want to hear where Tony's massive vision quest is taking him.
So I have been, as I continue to age, I've been more and more wrapped up with nostalgia and watching the shows that I watched growing up. And I've been on a, as you said, a vision quest. And the most recent show in that rewatch has been a lengthy one, and that is I've been on the mission to rewatch all of Dragon Ball Z. And I am currently on episode 193, which is the final episode, I guess the final episode, or really the first episode after the Cell Saga. So rewatching all of that, if I'm being honest, I'm like watching it as I work, so it's just kind of on the side while I'm doing work. And I really feel like that's the best way to watch Dragon Ball Z, because the story is not oftentimes it's not profound or anything like that. It's, an enemy appears and they have to fight him and then they have to train and beat the enemy. It's typical shonen stuff. But I gotta say, it is just as enjoyable watching that now, as I think it was watching it as a little kid. And yeah, now I'm curious to see where it goes from here, because I do distinctly recall after the Cell Saga it kind of falling off a cliff. But up until this point, still just as legendary. I love everything that they do with Gohan and his development up until this point. One of my favorite moments that I was happy to go back and rewatch was on Planet Namek, when Gohan and Krillin are like teaming up to fight the Ginyu Force. And like that whole moment and the way that they choreographed that, I thought was really well done. So yeah, I've been on just an absolute obsessive binge watch of Dragon Ball Z, as well as a few other shows which I could mention, but that is the one that I'm currently just neck deep in.
I'm assuming you're watching. Which dub are you watching of Dragon Ball Z?
I'm watching the
Because there are like
the
3 dubs, right?
I think, is there 3? I thought there's only 2,
Yep.
because there was the
Well,
Ocean dub, I want to
The
say.
Ocean dub, yeah, the Funimation dub, and then
Then there's Kai.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
Kai
Kai was a
on
redub, wasn't it? Well, I'm
yeah,
watching
Yeah,
I'm watching the Funimation dub. So,
okay.
yeah. The Ocean dub I think only went up to like the Namek arc and then they stopped.
I don't
Because
remember. I watched it in Canada, so I got the Ocean dub.
Okay. Because I remember watching it back in the day originally, and several of the characters changed their voice, but I remember Krillin's was the most jarring, because he had a very distinct voice in the Ocean dub, and then all of a sudden, next episode, it's a completely different voice, and you're like, what is it? What is this? Who is this guy? But yeah, no, I'm watching the Funimation dub, and it is absolutely holding up to all of my nostalgia.
I mean, even with the Buu saga coming up, you still have like Super Saiyan 3. You still have,
Yeah. But you have the Great
uh,
Saiyaman stuff coming up, which I'm not looking forward to.
yeah. But
You've
then I'm
got
saying
Fusion.
there's still some good stuff.
Although
There's
I will
Vegeta's
say,
sacrifice.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I said there's Vegeta's sacrifice that he makes when
Yes.
in the Buu saga. Like, there's still some good quality stuff in the Buu saga.
Yeah, I want to say, though, watching it now as like through the lens of an adult, I do understand why Gohan kind of goes the way that he does. Because it's like you got to understand, like this kid from the age of 5 or 4, I forget how old he was. I think he was 4.
Yeah.
From the age of 4 to, I guess, 12 technically, because he was in the that Spirit in Time Chamber for a year, so he was 11, but he was really 12. So like from 4 to 12, this kid has done nothing but fight for his life against all kinds of monstrous alien forces. It's like, all right, yeah, I get it. He just wants to go to school and be a
I was
normal
going
guy.
to say,
Like,
he's
that makes
seen
sense.
what life his dad has to live as someone who doesn't know how to read a book. And he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to learn. I think I'm going to get educated and avoid some of that.
But also,
So-
Chi-Chi is the one who's now just the parent, because Goku's like dead for
Dead. Yeah. He chooses
most of his
to
high
die
school
rather
years.
than raise his kid.
Yeah, so she was always heavy about school, right? So
Yes.
it makes
Yeah.
sense that he also gets like heavily invested into it. But
I-
the whole Saiyaman stuff is that he also partially can't help but help.
Right. I do want to say Goku is an absolute piece of shit. Like, what a terrible father this man is. And they try to in the part where they're training in the hyperbolic time chamber, they try to like play up his like, oh yeah, I'm being a father to you, and like all this stuff. And I'm like, man, you are just terrible. Like, you are not a good dad at all to this kid, and have not been his entire life. Like, yeah, watching that, I was like, this is rough. But shout out
He's
to
a
Piccolo
bad-
for stepping up, though.
Have you gone
that's
to the
right.
driver's license episode yet?
Oh yeah, I passed that. That was a fun one.
Okay, so it still holds up now.
Yeah. Where him and Piccolo go to get their license. That had some good laughs in it.
Goku is a bad dad and a worse husband. I mean, I think it was in Super when they have the conversation about how Goku doesn't actually understand what like
Yeah.
kissing is.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Incredible.
What do you mean you don't know what kissing is? You have 2 children.
Who knows? But yeah, no, Goku is absolutely the worst when it comes to that. But other than that, still a ton of fun. Really enjoying the show, and I would recommend if you haven't watched it in a while or haven't watched it since you were a kid. I think it's worth. I would say just have it on kind of as you're doing other stuff. I wouldn't recommend sitting there for 300 episodes.
Don't
and, like,
actually pay
staring at it.
attention to it. Just very
Yeah,
tertiarily be like, oh, that's what he's doing again. Okay,
Exactly.
perfect.
Yeah. Tune in whenever there's a cool action sequence.
Yell
and then
when
kinda
you're about
just-
to do something. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Remember, Nabbit can only blow up for a minute. It's gonna blow up in a minute.
That
so-
Any
was
minute.
wild. Watching that again, it's like, dude, this is. I think I want to say I like posted it in the Discord when I was watching that part because I was like, this has been several episodes and it still hasn't blown up, and it was supposed to be 5 minutes.
And remember, back in the day, they would get a little bit. You would get the drops, right? So you get a little bit more, and then you'd have to rewatch a lot of Dragon Ball to get back to
Yeah.
it. Great time.
Yeah.
Uh,